Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome into SJREI for 2023. Dawn, it's been a while. Welcome. Nancy, where's your camera? Come on, girl.
Been a long day, no camera.
Nancy, come on.
Come on. You know, we can't sit and have a glass of wine. We can at least look at each other. Awesome. Mark, welcome. Alan, appreciate everyone taking their time to join us tonight. Thank you. I love it when people turn their cameras on. It's helpful. Thank you.
Yep. Hello, Lori.
Yes.
Good evening and happy 2023. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you, Higgy. Same to you. Welcome.
Thank
There's
you.
Nancy. Look at you.
Here I am,
Yeah.
trying to survive the floods and winds and everything else.
So there's Jane.
I hear it's pretty bad over there.
Horrible.
I received a picture from the sky over in Gilroy, which is where my house is, and looks like Highway 101 is flooded. Like you can even see the road.
Oh yeah, it was underwater.
Oh,
Remember Craig
Crazy.
Boyle?
Yeah.
He posted that he was driving down 101 just around that area and had to stop because people were going through and stalling.
Oh,
It was all underwater.
sort of like the first snow. It's the first real rain and people don't know how to drive. But yeah, I mean, especially with the flooding, you don't go through, you know, here in Vegas, they have signs like billboards, you know, because they have flash floods here, pretty common.
What's interesting here in Sacramento is they had 99 was totally flooded.
Ah.
And cars were going through and getting stuck, but semis were going through. You couldn't even see the road.
Oh,
But they didn't have a choice because it wasn't like they could just turn around.
oh,
So
crazy.
it was horrendous. That was New Year's Eve.
Yeah. So welcome, Joseph, Liz.
Hello.
No camera. Hi, no camera, right?
Yeah.
Looks like Jane is back from her cruising. I see Jane's on here. Mike, welcome. Annie. Looks like Ray's still having some technical issues connecting. Alan, welcome. And Phil. We'll keep letting people get in here and we'll get started in just a moment.
So Lori, FYI,
Yeah.
our office flooded.
Oh no, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. So
Ah.
have fun with that.
So like our furniture and everything?
So yeah, the water came from the ceiling and I
Oh,
got the desk, but I was, I dried them off. The desks look okay, but the floors are like all bubbled and stuff. So
yeah, the desks aren't going to last long as they're particle board and they'll be sucking back up. So, oh, there we go. Just another challenge. We can do it. Oh, awesome. All right. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who's showing up tonight. We have an awesome presenter, one of my mentors, and I'm really honored to have him tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You guys confirm you can see my screen?
yes.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So we've been virtual for almost 2 years, and we will be going live hopefully this year. I will put it out there if anyone knows of any space where we can host 50 to 100 people, let me know offline. That would be great. So this is where the deals happen, right? SJREI is where the deals happen. Our disclaimers, we're here for education, networking. We make no endorsements, warranty, or guarantee of any kind with respect to opinions, information, services, or products mentioned or promoted by any speaker, presenter, sponsor, And I will be presenting stuff. I also encourage you to do your own due diligence. Members and attendees and participants are expected to do their own due diligence, consult their own legal and tax professionals making any investment decision. SJREI is not liable for any claims of any damages, losses, direct or indirect, that may result from those decisions. Okay, we're past that. So our mission here at SJREI is to provide education, networking opportunities, and the inspiration necessary to enable you to make wise and profitable investments. In other words, we don't want to just be edutainment. We want to see impact in your lives. When we had our live meetings, this is a picture, I don't know if you guys can see it here. We did a survey and we asked our participants, like, have you guys done business together? Have you done deals together? And 78% of our regular attendees did business together. And so that really says that this group is the group that does deals. One of the things that came out of that was a request to have more participation in deals, more opportunities presented for deals. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I have 3 potential deals that may interest you, and I'll tell you how you can participate, and then we'll get into introducing Dr. Trivedi. Before we do that, let's do a market overview. Where are we going? So we know that in 2022, we had a lot of inflation. Now, the metrics say 8.1. Some of us feel like it may have been more than that, but we definitely felt 8.1. It was quite significant over the typical 2%. And it's projected that in 2023, we'll see 3.5, and then hopefully we start normalizing that inflation. What did the interest rate hikes do? So like the Fed started at almost 0. And knowing that a recession would come and seeing the inflation, like you can't print the trillions of dollars that they printed and not have inflation, with the inflation creating the recession. So when we were at near zero Fed rate, there was nowhere to go except up. And they went up pretty aggressively. So we went from 0.25 all the way up to 0.5 in 1 year. So what did that do to our mortgage rates? If you look back a year ago, January 2022, the mortgage rate was 3.45% for a 30-year. Now we're at 6.48. So it basically doubled the mortgage rate. But people, I think we got complacent or we got spoiled, one of the two, because that was not a realistic mortgage rate at 3.25%. And you can see here, looking at the history from the 1970s all the way forward, that, we have been kind of trending down as far as mortgage rates go. And so now we've taken a pretty good leap back up, but we're not even as high as the highest or even up to the mean. And so we haven't actually normalized yet. We're kind of going to be bouncing here between 6 and 7%, I believe, for the next year. So what does that mean? It means it's time to hedge against inflation and protect your money. Now, a lot of people talk about, how do you do that? Well, real estate is one of the best ways to do that. And the reason is that if you think about it, real estate is a basket of commodities, right? It's your lumber, it's your shingles, it's your sheetrock, it's, the labor that goes into it. And each one of those has a price that if you were to go out and build new construction is going to cost more than what is already there put together. And so because of that, what is there, the existing inventory will have value that will increase with the commodity prices. So it's a great hedge. In addition, you get the value of leverage. with this hedge. So if you put $200,000 down on $1 million house, your appreciation on that house is going to be on the full million. So you get that leverage to also hedge against the inflation. So what do? Make sure you keep adequate liquidity and you buy assets such as gold, real estate, other currencies. I'm not a big gold person. I like the leverage that comes from real estate, but these are some of the techniques that the other gurus like to say. So we know that this is the time for us. Generational wealth is created by owning tangible assets with inflation adjusting income, right? And fixed covered debt. So this is the time to be investing. Now, I've worked with a few investors who have, this thought that we're going into a 2008. And that's a realistic fear because it feels like we just recently came out of it. But the truth of the matter is we probably won't see price drops that significant because there is equity in the market. The government will continue to prevent massive foreclosures. It's a precedence that's been set. And so if you're sitting on the sideline waiting for those massive drops, like maybe you see a house that's 800,000 and you think you're going to get it for 500,000 in a couple months, that time value of not being in the market or buying in the market is going to outweigh waiting for that because it probably will never get there. Now, I've been trying to see what's in the market. Pretty much the whole Bay Area for anything under 600,000, we haven't seen the price drops. What they're projecting in the Bay Area for 2023 is a price drop of 8%. Kind of like the inflation rate last year was 8%. So, if you're waiting for that price drop and your money is sitting on the sideline, you're going backwards. It's really important to get that money into play and start earning. In order to get ahead, you have to be earning 15% in order to get ahead on an 8% inflation because of the taxes and everything else. So my encouragement is find investments that have income or investments that have forced appreciation, not just market appreciation, but forced because of utility change. Those type of investments are always safe, and every market is always good to invest in as long as you know the direction of the market and you adjust the strategy. So one of the first opportunities that I wanted to share with you, like I mentioned, we were asked when we took over SJREI, 8 years ago, to start bringing investment opportunities, and it's a little bit difficult right now not having live, so I'm going to share some of the investment opportunities that come to us with you guys. This one here is what I call a legacy play. I have a particular house here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Now, this is Weeden Island that you can see in here, and there's a red arrow. That's the location of the house. This is Tampa Bay. So we have open water access with a canal right out onto Tampa Bay with this house. And on the right-hand side here, you can see the house. It is elevated for a flood certificate, allows us to get better pricing. So the living starts really on the second floor. It's a beautiful house. We're converting it to the fourth bedroom. It's a 3-4. We're making it a 4-4. And we got into this house at a significant discount almost a year ago. We've seen about a $600,000 appreciation on this property already, even in the softening of the market. What we're offering here is an opportunity to co-own this house with us. We're looking for a minimum of $100,000. And if you're interested, the idea is that we will keep this house. We don't plan on reselling it. This house will be used for family vacations, opportunities to hold small masterminds, whatever you'd like to use it for. With your commitment, depending on how much you put into the house, will determine how many weeks of the year you get to use the house. And, then you could pass it on to your family or your kids. however you want to use that, or if you do want to get out, one of the other partners would buy you out. So if you're interested in this play, let me know. I'll give you more details, but I'll show you some pictures here. We have a brand new pool with a travertine deck. It's set up to have a fire pit out here. We do have a place for the boat. It's beautifully decorated. It has a pool table, game area, open kitchen. You see the pool table and the game area. It's set up to sleep 10 people comfortably right now. And like I mentioned, there's 4 bathrooms. Right now there's 3 bedrooms. One of the bedrooms will be split after April. We have it rented right now. It's in high demand. So we're doing that. And then when we get our owners into this investment, we'll decide who takes what weeks and how we work that out. Okay. So the second opportunity I wanted to share with you can go one of 2 ways. And this is a very exciting one. I don't know how many people have done any research on SB 9, Senate Bill 9, but SB 9 is the bill that allows you to split a lot in an urban area. So this is a way to get density. Part of the bill says that somebody needs to live there in order to do the split, but there's also another piece to this bill that maybe not everybody's aware of, and it's the duplex part. The duplex part says that on each of those lots, you can build a duplex. So now one single family house can become 4 dwelling units. If you wanted to, you could even go as far as selling the duplex as condos. So you could do a condo map on that. So, you know, this one house here could conservatively be 4 units, about 1,370 square feet each, and resell for about $4 million. Now we are in contract. We will be moving forward with this to do this ourselves, or if this is something that you're interested in, we would consider wholesaling it to you. If you want to participate in this investment with us, we are looking for a minimum investment of $150,000, and we'll share what the terms are, but they're very lucrative. So those 2, if you have any interest, reach out to Jeff. He'll get you pre-qualified and on my calendar. And the last opportunity is the Godzilla of opportunities. You may have heard about this. This is one that we've been working on for a couple years. And this is it. You know, this is our final raise here. So San Carlos Commons is what we call it. It's near downtown, near Google. It offers better than Warren Buffett returns, and it's a socially respected solution, meaning it's mixed use with senior housing and room for the adult children that maybe want to live near their parents. Let me explain a little bit more. So if you look at this map, just to orientate you a little bit, we've got Westfield Valley Fair here on the upper left, and then Santana Row just below that. The airport's up there. If you were to take Stevens Creek to the right, you'd be heading into downtown. So this red square is the block that we have control of. So we have the entire city block. This is near where the Google campus is going to be coming in. We're less than 1 mile from that Google campus that just got approved. What we did in this particular deal is we assembled 3 different sellers and their lots. So if you look at the picture in the lower right, you'll see that there are different parcels here. The one that is blue is the parcel that we closed on. The other parcels are parcels that we have in contract to close on, and we will be closing on those in May. What we needed to do for this project is we needed to assemble all of the lots together, and some of the lots were actually in the county, so we have to annex them in. We have submitted everything to planning and zoning, and it's all been approved. They're working through what's called an EIR. And an EIR is an environmental impact report. It says like, what is the traffic going to do to the area? What are the lights going to do to the area? The noise pollution, all of that. And then you mitigate it. You come up with solutions. So all of that is done. It's been submitted. It's been approved. And now we're going through Planning Commission and City Council. We had our first meeting. We got 100% approval from staff and from the planning. So now they're going in. There's like 4 more meetings, and all the meetings are what are, it's called administrative. Basically, it's just a process. So we should be fully entitled on this property by July. What that means is that somebody could pull building permits or submit for building permits to build what we have envisioned on this particular land. So here's a picture of what we're designing. Now, in this particular area, the city wants to revitalize it, and they've allowed us to go up to 7 stories. In this particular lot, they want to see commercial use, but they have allowed us up to 61 residential condos. So we took advantage of the height that we were allowed and the density. So here's some pictures of what it will look like. And just imagine if you were investing in this now, what it's going to feel like, you know, a few years down the road when you're driving by and you're seeing this, knowing that you were a part of this change in this area. This particular building is split into 2 buildings. There'll be 1 building for senior care and 1 building for residential. The way it's set up is that there will be 61 condominiums. There will be a parking structure and retail, and that'll be on the front of West San Carlos. Behind that will be an assisted living residence. And in the assisted living residence, there will be 246 beds. Now, the concept of this mixed use is that as we have aging parents like myself, you know, sometimes when they go into assisted living or memory care, we don't get to spend as much time with them as we maybe want because they're on the other side of town or they're outside of town. And the idea here is that by having them close by, maybe even if you lived in one of the condos, you could spend time with them. They could come over and have dinner with you. But yet, if you needed to go travel somewhere, you knew that they were properly being taken care of. So that's the concept of this building. We have a lot more details on this. We're looking at about 18 months to exit this, and the returns are going to be substantial. In order to be considered as an investor in this, you do need to be accredited. And so I encourage you to head out to sjrei.org/SCC. Again, this is one of the hottest redevelopment areas in the path of high tech. It's a signature project for the city. It's supported by both the planning staff, the city council. It's especially recession friendly because we're doing forced appreciation. We're looking short term, 18 months to 24 months, and we expect double-digit returns better than 15%, and that's annualized. So again, if you have any interest in that, I would encourage you to head out to the website, fill out the form there, and we'll be in touch. Okay. Now for the main feature. So Dr. Trivedi, let me see here. I'm just checking, making sure everything is set here. Okay. I have to find my unshare button. Maybe you can help me. Jeff, do I need to click unshare or do you need to click it? Okay, I can't hear you.
Dr. Trivedi needs to share.
Okay, so let me unshare
here.
mine, and then I will introduce him as he puts his up. So, okay, I got mine unshared. Are we good? All right. So Dr. Alok Trivedi is a media personality and author of Chasing Success, Lessons in Aligned Performance. He's been in front of 100 million people worldwide, featured on CBS, NBC, Fox News, Global News, Entrepreneur, and many more. Dr. Trivedi is an expert in human performance and high performance thinking. For over 25 years, he's studied the brain to develop a scientific process to rewire people's problems for permanent and lasting change. Dr. Trivedi's clients include gold medal winners, having record-breaking income growth, creating global impact by using his high-performance thinking strategies. And I'm honored to say that he is my mentor and friend. So let's welcome Dr. Alok Trivedi.
Hey, thanks, Lori. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me, everyone. I appreciate you everyone being here. I want to say those are some amazing investment opportunities. I was listening in on those. Those sound great by every means. So, let me just take a few minutes and just kind of, I want to thank everyone for being here. I know that it's late. I know that there's a lot going on, but I want to share with you maybe what I think could be some of probably a different way of looking at investing, growing, scaling your business and using your brain to help you get there. Because I don't know about you and what research you've done and what you've studied in that capacity, but our brains, we know more about the brain today than we ever have before. And there's something now called neuromoney. And understanding neuromoney is important because you will only be able to keep, sustain, and create income to the degree that your brain is wired for money. And that's how this whole thing works. A lot of times, I don't know about you, but you've ever felt like you invested in something or you missed an opportunity. And I can't really see people because their cameras aren't on, but I'm just going to assume that from the people I'm looking at here, that you've invested in something that just didn't work out the way that you wanted to. And you say that, hey, look, I sabotaged my income. These are all parts of neuromoney. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk really about how to grow your income and grow your wealth so that you can actually continue to make more money, but also how you live a healthy life as an entrepreneur, because most people don't see the difference inside that. See, some of the major problems we have when we're growing, scaling, buying businesses, assets, real estate, whatever it is, most people are over optimistic in their strategies. Most people think that, hey, look, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to be great. People take on too many opportunities at one time, right? These are some of the things that we've seen. This is just based on some of the research that we've done. People are afraid of growing, of what happens when they grow too quickly, right? This is a growth factor. Business owners are over-indexing on risk. This is a big problem. When people over-index on the risk, what it does, it creates all this psychological turmoil and creates illness and high blood pressure. And so if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to tie in and weave in health information. Mark, would that be okay if I tied in and brought in health information to help people give an understanding of psychosomatic and how it helps? Great. Jane, is that okay if we talk about health as well? Because I know this is an investment group, but I know here's the one common thing between everybody on this call is that we're all human and how we all want better health. So I'm going to tie all that in so we can help understand neuromoney and health as it comes into it, right? Most people are making irrational decisions and mismanagement of emotions. These factors prevent us from making logical business decisions inside. We do. Hang on one second. There we go. I don't know about you, but I want you to think about this for a second. How were you taught about money and wealth? For most people, it's, you guys are the wise that go out and educate yourself. But if I went to the public, most people are taught about money through their friends and their family, primarily probably their parents. And they said, hey, look, this is what money is. And they hold on to these beliefs and these thoughts around money. It prevents them from growing, right? As I said, family, parents, and business leaders. These are really who teach us about wealth and money. But you tell me, and Jane or Dawn, you tell me, and if you think about it, right, there's more investment opportunity today than there ever has been ever in the course of our lifetime. If you really stop and think about it, it's actually a very true statement because there was no thing as crypto before. There was no blockchain before. There was not all these other variables where people can invest in all these different things. And what happens is people become confused and they become lost and they become scared because of this. But the thing is we've only learned of what we've learned through our parents and our family. But I'm not saying it's right or wrong by any means. That's not what I'm saying. But if you went to someone who doesn't understand, is trying to teach on current investment strategies and they're not talking about crypto, they may be missing something, or they're not understanding how the dip in the real estate market has affected them and affected others in the past. It's making a big decision it's incorrect. So just a little bit of who I am. I've been on media, I've been written a book, been on TV, news, all that good stuff inside there. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies. I work with people like Coke, J&J, Procter & Gamble, Toyota. I've worked with celebrity athletes and entrepreneurs for over the years, Damon John, Kenny Lofton from the Cubs, Emmitt Smith, or not from the Cubs, from the Cleveland Indians, John Burke, Grant Cardone, some of the people you may know, especially Grant Cardone, you probably know from the real estate world. And really who I am is I'm a health-based human behavior mental performance expert. That's what I do. And I help entrepreneurs grow and scale their business. So if you're an investment, and what we're going to talk about now is actually going to be a bigger factor to you than you think, rather than just the strategy, because how you think about the strategy is most important. One of the things I tell people is negotiating. How many people have to negotiate in real estate deals? Of course you do. Every one of you does. You're always negotiating in real estate deals and trying to find out the best real estate deals in front of you. So how do we negotiate using high performance strategies? And what we have to look at inside of it is the factors of this is how it affects our stress, right? Financial stress can lead to factors like insomnia, which is a lack of sleep, or other sleep difficulties. Nothing keeps you tossing and turning at night more than worrying about bills, loss of income, bad investments, income strategies. Insomnia, people with lack of sleep. I don't know, I'll give you an example. Anyone get up at 3:34 in the morning and then have a hard time falling back asleep? If that's you in any case, that's what's called cortisol release and insomnia because of that. That's because of stress. Weight gain. A lot of times it's the beginning of the year, people are going on weight gain processes, trying to lose weight. Stress can disrupt your appetite, causing you anxiously to overeat, skip meals just to try and save money or try and grow your wealth. Depression, living under a cloud of money. Problems leave anyone. And I want you to just think about this for a second, because we've all done this in business. Made business decisions that have left us where we don't have enough income or have a challenge with our income, right? According to a study at the University of Nottingham in the UK, people who struggle with debt are more twice likely to suffer from depression. Just think about that just for a second. Debt is not bad, but our perception of debt and what we've been taught about debt is completely incorrect. And what it's done, it prevents us from actually seeing, and it causes us things like depression. And our answer to that in society is to take an antipsychotropic medication or to take, Zoloft or any of these things instead of it, versus actually looking why we're depressed. Anxiety, money can be a safety net. Without it, you may feel vulnerable and anxious. All worrying of unpaid bills, loss of income can trigger anxiety symptoms such as pounding heartbeats, sweating, shaking, even panic attacks. Look, right now we're talking about this through this who knows recession and what degree of a recession. If anxiety is going to be something that many people suffer on this, if we don't take charge of the way that we think around money and wealth. Money is often cited as the most difficult relationship issues. If left unchecked, financial stress can make someone angry, irritable, and cause a lack of interest in intimacy and wear away foundations, even the strongest of relationships. Relationships, number one cause of divorce in the US is actually money, not intimacy. Social withdrawal. Financial worries can clip your wings and cause you to withdraw from friends, curtail your social life, and retreat into your shell. It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and they were talking about how loneliness in this big digital world that we're in, loneliness is actually worse than smoking. And as I'm looking at the population on this call, I say this respectfully, not disrespectfully, that there's a little bit of an older population. And they're saying that people over the age of 60 years old suffer immense loneliness because they don't tag into the social media world. And this is a major factor. What that does is it causes stress to become worse. Why am I talking about stress? Because all of these stresses compound. Social withdrawal, money tension, investment tension, all these things that happen, what happens is your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate increases, your stress levels go up, you're psychologically distressed because of this. Physical elements, as I said, high headaches, diabetes, gastrointestinal problems, high blood pressure, heart disease. People are suffering because of their health care inside this, and they delay taking care of themselves because of it. Unhealthy coping mechanisms. Many people are just going to lean to alcohol as a mechanism of stress. Money worries can lead to self-harm, even thoughts of suicide. So that may not be you, but here's what I want to have you look at. I like to sit and say the strategy is you operate from three brains. And it's wise to operate from three brains, because the three brains I talk about are the three factors inside of the amygdala, what's called the hippocampus, and the medial prefrontal cortex. Now, it's all technical. You guys are thinking, how does this have to do anything with my investment strategy? I'm here to invest and make money. Well, it has everything to do with it. Has everything to do with it. Because if you're investing from the amygdala and thinking that you're going to get more gains inside of an investment and not have any downsides, you're going to invest in a blind side. And what that's going to do, it's going to create, excuse me, it's going to create a reciprocated action inside of you, and it's going to cause you high amounts of stress. So I say the first phase is protection. What many people don't do in the investment world is that they don't protect their investments. Now, you guys are wiser than that, I'm sure, but a lot of people will sit and say, if I ask them, as I've done across the world, is that, are you protecting first? And the answer is no. Everyone thinks that they're going to make a killing. Everyone thinks that there's lots of money to be made, but they're not protecting first. The second phase inside of this is security. Are you making sure that your day-to-day life is covered? Not just your future is covered, then is your day-to-day life is covered. Then we can talk about making wealth inside that. And that's the abundance prefrontal cortex section inside of it. As I said, if you get this wrong, all of those symptoms show up. If you start investing thinking that you're going to make more money than not, then chances are you're going to deal with anxiety. And every time that market goes up or down, you're going to have to deal with pressure. Or anytime you're going to deal with, or the stock market changes, the market dips, you're going to deal with anxiety, depression, and stressful situations. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night. You're going to have unwanted weight gain and think, why am I not losing weight? Because it's stress and inflammatory weight because of this. But if you get this right, what's going to happen is your nervous system and your body's going to begin to function correctly. And you're actually going to move the path, and investing becomes with ease and gradual growth of success inside of it. One of the things that's not people's favorite is when I tell people, reduce your options, because there are so many things you can invest in, so many things you can put your money into. But I'm glad that on this call, we're talking about real estate, but specifically real estate investments. But what I like is that if you reduce your options, you don't create chaos in the brain. They've been shown in studies, they've shown this, is that the brain is not designed for multiple decisions. It's made for binary decisions, this or that, this or that. So if you see two options, it says, I like this better than that option. But if you throw a third option in, what creates is a fight or flight mechanism, a stress-based mechanism. And that causes your decision-making on your investment to falter, and you don't make the best decision. So if you're looking at a scenario, you want your team, your staff, your investment advisor, whoever it is, to come along and give you two options, two of the best options, and you got to decide between that. That is how the brain is actually designed. One of the reasons there's anxiety around financial decisions is because there's so many choices to make. And if there's not necessarily a clear right answer, it creates the limbo. Many people call that the paralysis of analysis or sabotage inside that. And that's really what it comes down to. When you have too many options, your brain says freeze. There's too much to do. I can't make that decision. I tell people that it's important to also remove your financial root blockage, the core source of why you're stuck, where you're stuck inside, why you're stuck inside that. Remove the financial root blockage in your life so that you can actually move forward and not feel stuck, right? These root blockages prevent us from actually growing beyond a certain income level. Right? Like if I look at, say, for example, Don, maybe he's got something that happened when he was 15 years old that's preventing him to hit over $1 million. And every time he gets up to the $1 million, and I'm just saying $1 million. Don, you could have 200 million. I don't know, of course, right? You get to that $2 million or $1 million mark, you kind of fall to that point and you fall back down. You get up to a point and then you fall back down. That's because your root blockage is preventing you. And if you get this wrong, you keep hitting this invisible ceiling in your business, your life, and your income. But if you get this right, you pass through it with ease and gradual growth. It's not an overnight success, but you're able to get through it, and you don't feel like you're stuck in that invisible ceiling. You have to look at it. What is your financial root that's stuck for me? It could be something like a divorce. It could be where you lost money. Maybe you did investment in the past. This is really big in your community as real estate investors. I see this all the time. That people invested money in the past and they made a bad decision and they made a bad deal. And now they're holding on to resentment or anger towards themselves, or there's guilt towards themselves that's keeping them stuck inside that. And what it does is it prevents you from actually taking charge and moving forward. Maybe someone stole money from you. This is a big one too, where people are angry because someone stole money from you. Or maybe you hit high levels of success and don't know how to change it. Or an IRS audit. That's always a good time, right? In every capacity. So basically what we've covered so far is we've talked about the 3 brains. We talked about reducing your options and your financial root experience inside of it. I also want to talk about pre-wiring your fear. Now, this is important. This is going to be an exercise type thing inside that. I would suggest to you that before you make an investment, to make sure that you don't create chaos in your own psychology and body, is that you assume the fear actually turned into reality. And you assume that fear actually happened. And if it did, what would be 30 benefits to you? This is called inverse thinking. And if it did happen, what would be the benefit to you? And if it didn't happen to you, what would be 30 drawbacks? And if you look at it and you study that and you say, hey, look, okay, Higgy, if you look at it and say, if I did this and I had 30 things that happened if this investment were bad, what's going to happen is your brain and psychology is not going to get caught up in the fear of an investment. Instead, many times people will go into investment only thinking that they're going to get positive out of it, but they don't. And then they create more emotional stress inside their body. Negotiate without cocaine. It's true. Obviously not real cocaine. I'm not talking about real cocaine in this capacity. But what I like to say, money heightens your neural activity. So please listen to what I'm about to say, because it's so important. When you're negotiating about money, the nucleus accumbens is stimulated. Now, you don't need to know what part of the brain that is, but what it is, it's tied to your reward circuitry. It's tied to your reward circuitry. That's all that matters. When you have a heightened amount of neural circuitry around that, it's identical. Please get this. It's identical to addicts who are on cocaine. So you get the exact same neural stimulation as if you're addicted on cocaine. And investing and the real estate market can do this to you when you keep looking for the new negotiation, the new thing. You feel like you're moving to that next step. And what happens is you get all riled up. That makes poor decisions. It's found that subjects who had naturally elevated stimulation nucleus accumbens would likely place a bet on a riskier security. This is a stock market investment. The more active equals more active reward center, which equals more emotional, which equals more likely to buy riskier items based off emotional highs. Okay. Now, and I know, Higgy and Don, and like, what happens when you make an emotional investment? Stress, chaos, nothing good turns out of it. This is why this is important. This is showing us that because it's actually functioning like an addict inside this. You act like a cocaine addict inside of it. What I tell people is that you scale based on inspiration, not desperation. So if you're looking to grow, you're looking to build, base it on something that you're looking to create something long-term. That's why I love what Lori was saying earlier in a legacy play, right? What's the legacy play inside of what you're looking to do? That is different because that's something inspired long-term. Desperate decisions are short-term decisions. If I was just to put 2 states inside of you, when you make investments, desperate states are places like where you're angry, anxious, needy, when you feel like your back is against the wall, or you're elated. Inspired states are grateful states, joyful states, enthusiastic states. These are all parts of your life where you can actually move forward and appreciate the life that you've created. These are truly inspired states. And actually you make better decisions. And I can't guarantee anything, but you would have a lesser chance of losing your investment dollars, because in any investment, there's a risk. We know that. But a lesser chance of losing money on an inspired state investment versus a desperation state investment, because you're not using the nucleus accumbens. So I don't know about you, but if I look at Higgy and Jeffrey and Don and Liz and Mark, like, what mistake have you made in the years, right? Like, maybe you can type in the chat box so we can have some communication here. Like, have you made any of these mistakes in the past for yourself? I know I definitely have. Right? I think we all do at some point. That's kind of the whole point in investment and growth. That's why we're here to learn and grow. And I love that about this community. So the solution is simple. You minimize your option. This is the framework. If you want to take a picture of this, you're more than welcome to take a picture of this for yourself in this framework. Because if you use this framework, I promise you, you will have greater decision-making, mental performance, better investment strategy inside of this, okay? You minimize your options The other thing you want to do is rewire the past root experiences around your life. And you want to grow in inspiration, not desperation. If you don't minimize your options, I don't know why someone's at my door at my hotel. Yes? Can you come back in half an hour? Thank you. Sorry about that. So you minimize your options. And if you don't minimize your options, you'll have confusion and lack of clarity. If you want to rewire your past, if you don't, you'll have resentment and create what's called an invisible ceiling for yourself. If you don't grow in inspiration, this is very important here. You'll create an elated state and be demotivated, depressed. How many times have you ever noticed that you made an investment and for some reason you just won't go back and invest again? You're so scared to invest, you almost freeze yourself into depression. It's like, why can't I make more money? Why can't I do these things? That's because you haven't healed the past. You haven't rewired the past. These are important factors inside this. So if you want to take a picture of this slide, just to take an understanding of it, please go right ahead. I welcome you to do it because it will help you. This framework will help you as you make decisions, as you move forward. That creates money, as I said earlier. So just something I'm doing here. I just wanted to throw this out there. I'm doing this for part of my community. Is on Sunday, I'm doing this. I mean, we talked for 30 minutes, if that even right now. But on Sunday, I'm doing a 3-hour training on a lot of these factors of financial. I'm going to elaborate further. It's $7 to do it inside of it. It's the reason it's $7 is because we're going to have probably a couple hundred people on there, and I'm going to raffle off all the ticket proceeds to someone inside of it. We're going to cover your hidden financial blocks and your limiting belief inside that, your infinite potential. We're going to see why you're keeping stuck. We're going to rewire some of your financial roadblocks, and we're going to figure out how to create the endless wealth inside of it, not just in your business, but also in your family life, in your health life. If you're interested in joining that, you can go to, Live Wealthy today, or you can just scan that QR code inside that to be a part of that. But look, I will say this, and I'll go back to the slide before if I could. This framework will save you years off your life. It will save you years off your emotions. It'll keep you healthier long-term, and your longevity will increase. So before you make a decision, go through these 3 steps. Are you minimizing your options? Are you sure your past is taken care of? And is this a desperate decision or an inspired decision? Those 3 questions will save you a lot of money, agony, and energy inside that. So that's really all I have to cover today. I just wanted to kind of open up that conversation and kind of have that discussion with you guys. And Lori, I want to thank you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be here and be a part of this. And I'm happy to take a couple questions. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to address them in any capacity.
Hey, Doc, someone asked that we put up the barcode again so they could scan it. Is that possible?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me figure out how to do
Okay,
that.
sorry, but I wanted to catch you before you closed, but
Sure. There we go.
There
Can you
we
see
go.
that?
yes. Going.
Okay, so if anybody has questions, go ahead and raise your Zoom hand. And while we wait for you to come up with questions, I'm gonna pepper Dr. Trivedi with a few.
Sure.
So can you give an example? I mean, I know that you gave a couple, like divorce and bankruptcy, but can you tell us a little bit about why that would be a financial block for somebody?
Yeah, I mean, if to elaborate, I'll elaborate much more on Sunday, but like if you have an association, something in your past where you've had a negative environment around money, maybe you made an investment, maybe you went to buy a house in 2008 and you had all this investment portfolio and you lost a bunch of money. Now that causes you pain. And every time you now have to go back to invest, that pain is going to show up. And you're going to always remember that pain, and your body will always move towards more pleasure over pain. So if it says investing, pain, investing, pain, investing, pain, I'm not going to make that investment. I'm not going to go down that path. You'll research everything you want to. You'll study everything you want to. You'll be knowledgeable as all giddy up, but you won't actually go ahead and make that investment because you're afraid of losing it. And fear becomes the factor that prevents you from actually making that investment. And it's the past that hasn't been addressed inside that. If you heal the past, which takes minutes, then it's done and it's over and you move forward inside that. You can make that investment in an inspired state, not a desperate state.
Now, you just said something that probably a lot of people question. You just said you can heal that in a matter of minutes, but like people go to counseling for years and years. Can you elaborate a little on that?
Well, I mean, I can go for 5 days on this. But yeah, counseling, it doesn't heal you. Counseling just tells a story. When you go back and you rewire the brain, which is what I do, I go in and I heal the actual experience so that it no longer runs your life. People have spent $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year on counseling and spend 5, 7, 10 years, $100,000, $200,000 on counseling and gotten nowhere. But as an entrepreneur, you want faster results. That's why I like calling myself more the anti-therapist than the therapist, because my results are fast. And Lori, you've seen me work with people and in minutes, done, finished, gone. Bankruptcies eliminated, divorces eliminated. People are able to move forward in their life without holding themselves back. It's not the traditional model. I get it. I completely get it. But it's the new model is based on neuroscience and neuropsychology and neurobiology, where psychology is still living on, the pre-Freudian days of psychology. And it's different. We have more information today, and we've just created a better mousetrap to help people heal.
So in the rewiring, is that just meditation? Would it like?
No, it's questioning. It's a questioning process. It's not sitting and do a bunch of ohms or anything like that. But it's a questioning process, almost like it technically, if you're into the technical stuff, it's a neurocognitive behavioral therapy approach. But as I was just telling Lori yesterday, is I have 98 different ways that I can rewire the brain to help people heal in different capacities. And I can use any of them at any point in time to help people rewire that inside. But in different circumstances of different situations inside of it.
Do you have any stories that you can share with us?
Oh my God.
Nothing like putting you on the spot there.
Well, I think I'm the perfect story, to be honest with you. Like, I
Okay.
can't, I was a wealthy doctor, relatively wealthy doctor. I had made money. I was successful. I had done everything, and I had made millions of dollars, and I got brutally divorced. And in my divorce, I lost lots of money, and I lost my own income, and I couldn't see my kids, and I wasn't making any money. I lived on a lemon for 4 days. And but then I was like sitting there, I had to figure myself out. How do I rebuild my life? How do I rebuild my psychology? How do I rebuild my neuro? And I was listening to all this mindset stuff, and I was doing that. I'm not a big mindset kind of guy. Like, I'm a scientist. I'm not like many of you are probably engineers and doctors and intelligent people if you're on an investment call. I'm not a woo-woo healer guy. Like, that's not me. I was like, just because you meditate doesn't mean you're going to heal anything. I want science. I want hard science. So I was going to these events and programs, and I wasn't able to sell anything. I wasn't able to make any money in my own life, and I was stuck. And I remember I figured out the path, and I sat down with all the neuroanatomy textbooks, all my neuroscience textbooks, and I just figured it out. And I figured out, okay, how do we create these beliefs, and what's the path, and what's the system, what's the nervous system, how does it all come together? And I went through it, and I correlated it all, and then I created exercises and tools to rewire my own brain, to do it for myself. And as I started doing it, I started making more sales. Started making more money. And then I started making more money, and I started realizing, oh, okay, here's the income inside of it. And then my health started to get better. I was 50 pounds overweight. I smoked, I drank, I did all these things because as a compensation of my own health. And then I took charge of it. And as I rewired my own brain, and as I healed my own brain, I started to make more money. I started to be okay with investing. I, like many of you, I was a super wise investor in 2008 and lost a bunch of money. So I was scared to invest again. So I am that story that I'm telling you about. But yeah, I've taken people who were bankrupt and in 20 minutes or an hour rewired it, and they've gone off to make, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month. There's lots of stories like that. But I will tell you that, it's not something that people are going to look at and say, hey, okay, I don't really get it. I don't really understand it. You don't need to. What you need to do is just, when you experience it, you realize there's a vast difference in what happens to you when you rewire it, and the money starts to show.
And once you rewire it, do you have to keep rewiring it, or how does that work?
No, once it's done, it's done. It's out of your brain, it's out of your system, it's done. Like I have people who I've worked with years ago, and I just got an email today, actually, someone who was in one of my financial courses. And she literally said, like, that they did the course, their course 5-6 years ago, and their life has been great, and they'd love to kind of refresh, get a new perspective. But they were stuck with money, weren't making money, and now they're over the last 5-7 years. I haven't heard from them, but they've been doing well and making money inside it. So it's not like you have to continue to do it again and again inside that.
So, a lot of the gurus say, well, just change your belief.
Mhm. The question is that how do you create the belief, right? Like a belief is great, but how do you create the belief? And they're just saying change your beliefs, but it's not about changing your beliefs. It's about rewiring it so that you don't need that belief.
Hmm.
It's about rewiring it so you don't need that belief, right? I say to people all the time is that, people are like, you're a doctor talking about money and health. It's almost like this weird oxymoronic position that we have in society. And the reality is this, is look, like, Higgy, I started in this game, not as a person who was saying, let me help entrepreneurs make money. I started in this game as a doctor helping patients. And as patients would come in, here's what I'd realize, that they come in on the 2nd or 3rd of every month, and they're arguing with their wife. And I'd say, why is your back hurt every single month on the 3rd of the month? They're like, oh, well, because I'm arguing with my wife. Because the stress of money shows up in their body. I'm like, that's an interesting correlation. And I said, how do I help that person without touching them, without taking drugs? And I started asking different questions. And then like 60% of their back pain went away. And I came back the next day, and then the other 40%, and I didn't touch them. And I said, hold on, I'm onto something. And literally by asking questions, I was helping people heal. And they'd be like, oh, the pain is gone. The symptoms are gone. So I started as a doctor, but then what happened was time progressed. I started getting not just doctors that came in, or not as patients who came in. I started getting entrepreneurs that come in. And I started getting celebrities that came in. And then I started getting calls from people all over, the entrepreneurs, CEOs. And they'd sit and say, okay, if this works for my body, can you help me with my business? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go do it. And so I'd go help their business, help the business grow inside of that. And so that's kind of how this world is spread. Now I've worked with athletes, world champions, World Series champions inside of it. And, we're in 74 different countries with the work that I do, and been on Times Square, been on Amazon Prime. I just don't talk about it, but the work actually has helped heal hundreds of thousands of people, over 500,000 people. That's it. I am not a medical doctor. I used to be a chiropractic doctor and a physical therapist before that.
I have a few questions from the members. So what is the link again to sign up for Sunday?
Live Wealthy Today.
.com, right?
Yep.
Live Wealthy Today. Okay, there's that. And so a couple of people said that they wouldn't be able to attend. Do you think there'll be a replay or something like that? That if they register, will you send something out? That's a very popular question, by the way.
Yeah, there'll be a recording of it, sure.
Okay. Now back to your slides. I have a question too. I think we missed it. What were the 3 questions to ask yourself again before making an investment?
The 3 questions were, if I make this decision, if I go forward, number 1 was, if I invest in this, what are 30 drawbacks of the investment?
Right.
And then the second one was, if I don't invest in this, what's the benefit to me? It's a literal process.
It's backwards from the way people think, right? Because you think that the investment is going to be, oh man, I'm going to make so much money. And so you think, well, I should do like the 30 benefits of investing. So I hope people are understanding how the questions are not the way that you might think they would be.
Yeah, it's using inverse thinking and neuroscience inside that. It incorporated the 2 processes to create these questions inside of it. So it seems like it's a simple question. It's like, oh, okay, I get that. But it's not. It's actually like, once you start doing the work, you realize that, oh, and what you'll be able to do, you'll be able to make a decision on that investment in a much more grounded, rational state.
Now, on one of your slides, Dr. Trivedi, you had mentioned a financial roadblock being success.
Mhm.
Can you explain a little bit more on that? Because I'm sure that that kind of twists people's minds. Like, why would success be a financial roadblock? Shouldn't that be celebrated?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it this way. Just the more success does not equal more success. Your successes breed the downside. The high breeds the low, and the low breeds the high. And so you're always oscillating like this. The more successes you have, the more crashes you're going to have. Right? As an entrepreneur, I was talking to, it's on a podcast with a pretty well-known entrepreneur. He's like, well, entrepreneurs is a journey of success, and failure. It's not really true. It doesn't have to be, but that's how we're programmed to, because we look at every success as a positive thing. Success is not as positive thing. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that right now, because I'll wait on that for Sunday, just because I've got to build it up to explain it further. But our neurodopamine system doesn't allow us to actually continue to rise without a down. It's a continual process inside of it.
Awesome.
I have a question. This might be something you want to address on Sunday, but
Sure.
could the rewiring process go wrong based on the results?
What do you mean by that?
So, for example, when Lori was saying that it could be modified to get on the right path, Gilles, do you want to send me a little extra comment there to explain that? I'm translating.
Do you want me to, can I speak?
Yes,
go.
please.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to know, like you mentioned, the rewiring process brings you all these corrective actions in the process, and then you become successful. Could it go the other way around as well? And if it does, I guess, can it be corrected along the way?
Yeah, it can. If you don't know what you're doing inside of it, if people don't know what they're doing and they're asking the wrong questions, absolutely, it can go the wrong way. And yes, it can also be corrected in that as well.
So it's a process then, like it's not like you get it. It's not like in one session or like in 30 days, you're on the path. You have to kind of watch the results. It could take.
No, not true. That's not true. That's not true. It can be. I mean, typically, like, I just spent a day working with people, and I've rewired 8 hours, and they're done. Like they don't need more. They got. When I spend 30 minutes with someone, it's done. They don't need to come back for more again, because I know what I'm doing. I'm saying if someone doesn't know what they're doing and they try to do it, yeah, they can screw themselves up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Dr. Alok and Lori, thank you. Question is, these groups, you're doing a group session on Sunday. Is that actually where you're giving more information, or that's actually you're giving samples of the rewiring, and then we'll set up a session to meet you directly? Or do you do that in a group setting?
So on Sunday, what I'm doing is just a more education, deeper education around it, specifically around money. And then if people want to learn more, then we can always kind of talk about kind of what the next steps are for people if they want to inside that. Happy to have those discussions inside that if that's something for you that you're looking for. But I always say, like, look, in a webinar late night, it's like, how much are you going to like retain and absorb inside that, right? Like, so it's not really fair for anybody. So it's just kind of like an intro kind of piece to it. But on Sunday, I'll be spending 3 hours and I'll be going through explaining different processes, and I'll probably take a few people and I'll pick people and I'll rewire them right on the spot so they'll see it inside of it as well. So I'll be working a little bit more hands-on with people, and because I'll have more time to be able to do more work on Sunday.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Good question. Thank you.
Are you available for private consultations, or do we
Yeah.
have to be in a group?
No, I do one-on-one work. I spent the whole day working with people. I'll be very honest with you. Like, yeah, I mean, if people want to, it's a very valuable thing, and you can talk to someone on my team. They're happy to connect you with it. And And if it's right for you, it may not be right to do the one-on-one consult, just kind of depending on what's needed. And so a lot of times people will say, Nancy, thanks for your question, but a lot of times people will say, I just want to work one-on-one with him. But certain processes, like I'll say, you know what, I can work one-on-one with you, but you may need to work other pieces of it, and it may take a little bit longer. So maybe a better way to do it inside of a group thing, because a group thing is not just a group thing, you're really working with yourself. So it just depends on kind of what's needed. And my team knows what's needed inside that for people. If this is the problem, this is how we were able to help that inside that. Does that make sense, Nancy?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Is there a good website? Is there a good link that, other than Sunday, that I can put in the chat here that people can reach you?
Rewirescore.com. Rewire This is actually really, I should have put this earlier. I didn't think of this. But rewirescore.com, it's been a long day. I've literally been.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so just to give everyone a little heads up, he's here in Las Vegas. So of course I had to take him out to dinner last night, and then he had a full day working today. So we really appreciate you taking your time to be here tonight.
Yeah, no, thank you. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. I just had like I rewired for 12 hours, then I had a 2-hour meeting, and then just jumped right into this. So I'm just kind of putting my brain together, but rewirescore.com is a good place to go. And actually it's a good site for you to look at as well, because what it'll do, there's a questionnaire survey that I've created that allows you to see what part of the brain you're actually using and what part of the system what part of your brain you actually use. So it'll help you make decisions. Are you functioning from a desperate state or an inspired state? And it'll give you more clarity inside that. So I would recommend highly that you just go do the quiz at least, and you'll see if you're working in a need to state, which is desperation, or an inspired choose to or love to state.
Perfect.
I'm putting the links in.
Any other questions? No? Okay, so that concludes tonight's meeting. Again, I appreciate everybody showing up, and pay attention to your emails. We have more events scheduled. You'll see some coming out for February. Also, we'll be doing a watch party for the new TV show that I've started, Funding Face Off. So yay!
Yay, fantastic.
Yes, it's going to be coming out pretty soon. We did have a slight delay, but it was for good reasons. We had a Netflix consultant reach out to us just as we were about to push the button and launch, and they had some requirements that they wanted to see. So we thought, well, let's just pull it back and launch properly. And so we're reworking the footage, and you'll be seeing that come out here early spring. And if you have deals that you want funded, feel free to send it off to that website. And I would 100%, like 110% encourage you to show up on Sunday. But $7 is minimal, but it's kind of fun. Let's, $7, maybe you'll win the pot, but you're investing in yourself. And that's the first investment that everybody should do, because you will only grow your investments to the level that you grow yourself. So I highly, highly encourage you to take that investment in yourself. All right. Good night. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.